Hello everybody, my name is Chandon Hines and I'm from the University of North Alabama and I'm taking Psychology 302 or Abnormal Psychology in the summer semester, and today I'm going to try to give you a 10-minute crash course in social anxiety disorder. So, social anxiety disorder is abbreviated SAD or SAD. Basically what it is, it's when a person has an anxiety or fear of being around other people. So it's not necessarily that they're shy or that they're nervous, it's just that they really have a social phobia. So they fear negative judgment from other people. Many people have false perceptions of people with social anxiety disorder. Many include things like shyness, being quiet, being nervous, but also they can be withdrawn. So that would mean that they are not really present in the situation and they would just rather go stand in a corner by themselves. However, that's not necessarily the case. That's not them wanting to do that, it's their anxiety talking. They would much rather be able to participate in groups, just like you and I would be able to, than to have to stand by themselves because their fear is just taken over. Kind of a false notion of social anxiety disorder is that these people don't want to get to know you, but that's really not the case. They want to be able to participate in group settings. They want to be able to talk and carry on friendships just like you and I do. They want to be able to get on that baseball field and not have to run off because of fear of embarrassment or making a fool out of themselves. They want to be able to go have coffee with their friends. Many people with social anxiety disorder wouldn't be able to eat this meal outside with friends or with strangers. They would just either eat it alone or they would just avoid eating altogether. Most anxiety disorders have a larger ratio of females than they do males who are diagnosed with this disorder over their lifetime. However, with social anxiety disorder, it's a 50-50 ratio. This disorder affects both males and females in the same way. There are many negative side effects or symptoms of social anxiety disorder that can occur whenever you have this diagnosis or that can lead to the diagnosis. So those can include anything from sweating, fear of embarrassment, worrying excessively. Also, you can have nausea or avoiding new people altogether or just avoiding social situations that could cause the anxiety. So maybe if you're not used to being in a party area and you're invited to a party, you'll tend to gravitate towards the only person that you know in the room, and disorder is actually more prevalent than what we realize. 12.1% of the population has been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. So that means 35 million Americans are diagnosed with this disorder. So in the purpose of putting that into context, we have 37 people in our online class. Statistically, 4.52% of us, 4.52 people would have this disorder, and let's just be safe and round it up to 5. Also on this campus, we have close to 8,000 people, and that would make the prevalence on campus 1,025 people. Adolescents are more likely to obtain this disorder than anyone over the age of 60. So 18 to 25 is the prime years, and then also the age of onset is typically 13 years old. Many treatment options can really turn social anxiety disorder upside down. The first one that I'm going to discuss today is cognitive therapy. So pretty much what that is a series of 16 to 20 sessions, one a week for 4 to 5 months, that will help you overcome that anxiety that you have. For the most part, it works. It's said to be one of the top choices for people with social anxiety disorder, or really any kind of anxiety disorder. I consider it the 3 R's, so you have to do a lot of repetition, a lot of reinforcement, and a lot of rationality to provide the time and the effort needed for a complete change in heart and a change in mind with this disorder. There's no one way that cognitive therapy works the best for everybody. There's not this 4-step process, this 2-step process, this 8-step process that would really help someone with social anxiety disorder and then help another person in the exact same way. So it's really individualized attention. SSRIs are a medical treatment option for social anxiety disorder. An SSRI is just short for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and they are usually the first choice in medication to treat any of your social anxiety disorder needs. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that affects mood and anxiety. There are different types of SSRIs that do different side effects. So most of the time they are all bearable side effects, maybe including headache, dizziness, drowsiness, fatigue, as well as irritability. For the most part, you can deal with those side effects. However, if the doctor sees it a problem, they will for sure prescribe you a different SSRI to maybe cut down on those just a little. Next, we're going to move on to theories. So the first theory we're going to talk about is cognitive theory of social anxiety. So pretty much what that is, it's overestimating the negative effects of being in a social situation and underestimating the positive effects. Individuals with social anxiety disorder tend to overestimate the effects or the negative consequences of being in a social situation. So that would mean they also tend to underestimate the ability to handle those situations. The cognitive theory goes right along with cognitive therapy in that it will target the patterns of thinking to encourage the individuals with social anxiety to practice engaging in social interactions more. Focus a lot about other people's perceptions of them. So for example, like my handshake was too weak, she's going to think I have no confidence, different things like that, rather than on the interaction itself. Like I spoke up proudly, my shoulders were back. It's focusing on the negative versus the positive aspects. This focus and worry about their own performance can be very distracting. It can get in the way of having positive interactions with other people. Next is the behavioral learning theory. It concerns itself with the way behaviors are learned and also in the way that they are unlearned. The behavioral theory has to do with things such as unconditioned stimulus as well as the conditioned stimulus. So the unconditioned stimulus would be something that you don't have to learn to do. So whenever you're a baby and if someone tickles your foot, you're going to bend your knee and try to get away from that tickle. Also, during a conditioned stimulus would be where a certain situation, like maybe jumping off a cliff, maybe that made you afraid of heights whenever you were younger. Or if you watched a movie such as Chucky whenever you were younger, maybe you have developed a fear of clowns. That would be a conditioned stimulus. However, with classical conditioning, you can reverse those side effects. Let's take little Albert, for example. He was one of the first little guys to be put in a laboratory setting to be conditioned to be afraid of rats. So the first time the rat was put in there with little Albert, he was not afraid. He would come up, pet it. However, whenever it was paired with a loud thunder noise, he began to fear rats. That fear of rats led to fear of anything that is fluffy or white. This leads to generalization. Maybe you were bitten by a chihuahua whenever you were younger, and then all of a sudden you start developing that fear of all chihuahuas, and then it leads to Boston Terriers, and then poodles, and then pit bulls, and then every other type of dog out there. So that would be a generalized response. That's pretty much what the behavioral theory of social anxiety is. It's just the reconditioning of a response to a certain situation. So it's trying to make your fear go away by adjusting your behaviors with that fear. So there you have it. We've just finished my 10-minute or less crash course in social anxiety disorder. Tune in next week where we'll be talking more about abnormal psychology. Thanks for watching.